Episode 65, The King of Awesome. Mario and Bowser stood side by side, watching as the massive, intricately decorated circle that surrounded Rosalina continued to glow.
"Ready for one last charge, Mario?"
Bowser said, glancing towards him. Mario nodded. To be honest, he didn't know if, with his half of the Dream Stone, he'd have enough power to defeat Rosalina, but he had never been one to back away from a fight, no matter how much the odds were against him. The two rivals blasting forward through space, towards the massive shining light covered in white images of the stars, as Rosalina hovered in the center, eyes closed and arms raised. The circle began to pulse with light as Rosalina readied her attack, and with each pulse, an energy wave flew towards Mario and Bowser's direction. Mario braced himself for the collision, gathering all of the Dreamstone's power together. But when the wave of light hit, it was like nothing Mario had struck before. It wasn't simply powerful. Mario felt as if the entire force of gravity itself was pushing against him, and no matter how much he fought against it, it only seemed to get stronger. Unable to stop himself, Mario was flung away, with Bowser beside him.
"Again!"
Mario cried, launching himself towards Rosalina with Bowser roaring beside him. Again they met the light and brought their full power against it, but once again they were thrown back. A third time they threw themselves against the impossibly powerful force, but did no matter. Over and over again they sent themselves against Rosalina, pouring more and more power into themselves until they were striking the wave of light with power enough to shatter planets. But nothing seemed to have any sort of effect, and all the while, Rosalina's light continued to grow brighter. How long until her galaxy-shattering attack would be completed? With each attack, Mario grew more and more desperate, forcing himself to go beyond his limits even if it hurt. At first Bowser joined him, roaring with anger as he slammed the light waves with his huge fists, but as they continued to be thrown back, Bowser's face began to get more and more sad, until, by the 35th time they were thrown back, it had lost all of its signature guts and bravado. Finally, Bowser spoke.
"Mario!"
he growled as they stared out at Rosalina and the beautiful, godlike pattern of light that surrounded her.
"We've gotta stop this! We're not getting anywhere!"
The light surrounding Rosalina continued to pulse, faster now.
What?"
Mario shouted back at him, as he was surprised to feel tears dripping down his face.
Bowser, if she launches that attack, everyone dies. I'm the hero of the Mushroom Kingdom. What am I supposed to do?"
Bowser looked at him, and in his stare, Mario saw a lifetime of memories, from the first time they had met as toddlers, with him riding on Yoshi's back. A million duels over pits of lava, with Peach watching from the sidelines. Standing together as friends against villains who threatened them both, kart races and tennis matches, party games and fighting tournaments. And Bowser smiled.
"Mario,"
he growled.
"Please, take care of Peach."
Then, without warning, Bowser punched Mario. The force of the blow racked through Mario's entire body, knocking the wind out of him as he recoiled, as much in shock from Bowser's apparent betrayal than the blow. Mario could only watch as Bowser picked him up and ripped the half of the Dream Stone from his body, before the Koopa King smirked at him.
"Guess this means, I win, huh? Always knew I would, you know? Really, chump, did you actually think you could take King Bowser Koopa?"
Then Bowser hit Mario with a full force kick in the chest. The last thing Mario felt as he blacked out was the force of being launched a long, long, long way away. With Mario out of the way, Bowser turned to the Dreamstone half, before slamming it into his chest. Magically, The halves joined together as light flew around Bowser and he felt himself grow. Then Bowser, with a force that launched shockwaves throughout the universe, shot himself towards Rosalina. Bowser had felt this power before, the full strength of the Dream Stone, long ago when he fought the Mario brothers on Pylo Island. He had held back in that fight, though. How could he not? Princess Peach had never been more than a few meters away from him. Peach. Her name echoed through his head as Bowser flew through space. He struck Rosalina's wave of light and poured the full power of the Dreamstone's cosmic power into his fist, smashing through it. Would she be sad? Would she still visit Junior and the others? She had always loved his kids. Yeah. She really had been the only mother Junior had ever had. Lavaria and her would have been such great friends. Light wave after light wave struck Bowser, but his force his way through all of him. The magic circle around Rosalina was pulsing faster and faster, and the light waves growing stronger and more frequent until it felt less like smashing through panes of energy and more like making your way through a sea of thick liquid that pressed on you from every angle and burned at your skin. It was Bowser against what felt like all the gravity in the universe, radiating outward from Rosalina as she shone brighter and brighter. Bowser roared as he poured out all of his strength, raising his fist as he drew closer and closer towards Rosalina, the energy coming from Rosalina feeling as if it was melting his shell. Rosalina loomed closer and closer. Bowser Jr.'s laughter rang in his ears. No, not just Junior's. The laughter of all his children, even Ludwig's. There was Lavaria's face shining on their wedding day, the most beautiful thing he had ever seen, all those memories he had shared with his family, with Cammy and Kamek, who had practically raised him. Even with the Mario Bros and the rest of them, the best rivals any tyrant could ask for. He had never been anything more than an evil Koopa King, but the memories he had built, the good things he had done. Those weren't all bad, right? Bowser had been flung into an entire star before, but even that could not compare to the pain that was filling his body. Yet still he forced himself closer and closer, as Rosalina loomed before him, closer and closer. Had Peach loved him? No, he could not say that, not in that sense at least, but perhaps, at least in their best days, they had been friends of sorts. It didn't matter. She had always loved his children, filled the gap that Lavaria's death had left in their family. She would live and rule the kingdom, and she would help Junior adjust to his time on the throne. The Koopa Kingdom, yes, the kingdom, he could not really expect his global empire to survive this. Bowser was only a few meters away from Rosalina now. The energy was burning at his skin now, and the heat was so unimaginable anyone but a royal-blooded Koopa wouldn't died already. Bowser raised his fist and ignited it in flame. The force of the energy was blasting at his face, ripping away at his skin, exposing the bones on his fingers as he pulled back his hand. Bowser was starting to lose consciousnesses. White light filled his vision, and he could not see a single thing but himself and Rosalina floating before him. He was sure that by now he looked more like dry Bowser than his normal self. Power filled his fist, the power to smite a million suns, power enough to make the universe his with a snap of his fingers. But Bowser no longer wanted the universe. His family, and all the good times they had had coming up with mischief to take down the Mario brothers. That had been the real reward of his efforts, not a golden jewel-encrusted throne in the heart of the Imperial Citadel. Rosalina's eyes flashed open, glowing red.
"You will not!"
she exclaimed.
"You will not stop me!"
Bowser's arm seemed to move in slow motion as he swung his skeletal fist towards Rosalina, coated in multicolored fire.
"Bowser! I've been waiting for you for so long!"
Lavaria, looking as beautiful as she had the day they had first met, hovered above Rosalina, holding a hand out. Bowser did not even feel his fist connect Rosalina, although he knew it had. Instead, he took the hand of his one true love and looked in the eye, tears running down his brutish face.
You really think your big bad Koopa King would leave you alone, sweetheart?
He laughed, his voice choking.
No way I would. I'm Bowser, baby.
Lavaria smiled and kissed him softly on the cheek.
I know.
She said softly, still holding his hand.
I know.
Mario floated aimlessly through space, gazing out at the massive explosion that had filled the void with colors and had blasted him even further through the cosmos. Bowser? Had he? Rosalina? Had they won, or had they lost? Mario could see a planet below him out of the corner of his eye, a blue and green planet, one that looked familiar to him. Was he home? Was there even any home left? A black-colored Luma appeared before him, gazing at Mario with sad blue eyes.
Polari!
The name came him, although he could not remember where he had heard it.
Master Mario!
The Luma said in an aged voice thick with sadness.
I must thank you. That evil man! He drove our mother mad, and she would have destroyed the entire universe in her madness. Rosalina!
Mario exclaimed, remembering some of the events. He looked out at the huge explosion, which filled his whole field of view in the distance, dwarfing even stars.
Is she? Yes. And no.
Polari replied.
Even an attack as powerful as Master Bowser's cannot kill Rosalina forever. She has been one with the stars for far too long. Rosalina will be reborn not long after this, and as she grows up, her memories will return. She will walk the stars again, Mario. But you have saved her. How?
Mario asked.
Triumphing over her and Antonio's madness, you and your brother have shown Rosalina that good people can pull through against even the greatest odds. This will remind her every time she thinks that life has no meaning. Remind her that despite all the war and suffering in the cosmos, things do end happily. End. B. Bowser?
Mario asked. Polari closed his eyes.
Perhaps that monster was always a better man than I thought.
Polari said sadly.
In the end, he chose love over ambition and gave his life for the whole world. King Gramby will judge him most justly. Perhaps even someone like him can reach the over there, in the end.
Mario closed his eyes. Bowser. A friend, a nemesis, who had he been to him? Their lives had been entwined for so long, it was impossible to imagine life going on without him. Who would he test his fighting strength against now, race carts with? The clouds rose up around Mario as he fell into the planet, gazing at the explosion which had been Bowser's last and greatest fiery attack.
Peach!
He thought as the clouds enveloped him.
Finally! You re safe.
Antonio gazed up at the blinding light that filled the sky, his blue eyes wide.
Impossible!
He gasped weakly.
Rosalina! The starfall! You lost, Dad!
Luigi said firmly, panting from exhaustion as blood and sweat dripped down from him.
We beat you! Did you really think everyone in the world would just lie down and allow themselves to die? Fools!
Antonio exclaimed, his voice weak and hollow.
Don't you know how long I worked towards this? All the sacrifices I made. I was going to bring peace to the world.
Antonio stretched up his hand, as blood dripped from his nose and his eyes.
I can still destroy the city,
he said, half to himself as a giant spinning orange star appeared in his hand, looking slightly more faded and unstable than the one Cobal had stopped.
Even if I die doing it, I will die knowing I brought peace and balance to the world.
Luigi leapt at his father, bringing out his final burst of strength. He punched Antonio hard in the stomach, causing him to stagger back and his glowing star to disappear, slapped him across the face so his orange cap was flung off, and finally grabbed him and forced him to his knees before falling to his knees himself. The strange, nebula-like glow in the sky was gone, as was the polluted crimson clouds that had covered Koopa Central for 20 years. The sky was blue and full with bright yellow light as the sun rose, shining its light on what remained of Koopa Central and the fleets of all the armies.
Look at this,
Luigi said softly.
Mushroom Kingdom people, Koopas, even Ludwig's rebels, all working together to save the world. If that isn't the beginnings of peace and balance, what is?
Antonio closed his eyes as his shoulders fell. A moment later, scrumming to their exhaustion, father and son fell to the ground, lying on the cold stone of the observatory as the brilliant sun rose behind them, shining its rays upon a brand new day.